have a very glowing skin. When you take fruits, you have vitamins, it helps aging. Some of us that are tending towards and we don't want to look old, take enough fruits. You'll be fine. Your face, your skin, everything will glow. You have to find out what that child likes. All children are not the same, so you need to know what that child likes. When you find out what the child likes, then you start mixing fruit together. Most children, not all of them anyway, they have sweet tooth. So it could be a combination of banana with some other things, you know. But the first thing is to find out what the child likes. When you get what the child likes, then day in, day out, you introduce it into their meals. You can make it into smoothies. You can make it into juice for them because it's easier to take. When you make juices or you make smoothies, it's easier for them to take a whole lot of nutrients into their body within a short time. So I would talk from experience. If I want to, cucumber for example, not everybody likes cucumber because cucumber is tasteless. But for you to enjoy cucumber, cucumber has high water content and is really good for the body. But for you to enjoy cucumber, you can combine your cucumber with other fruits that you love to eat. Take for example, some people like pineapple, some people like apple. Combine it with the fruit you enjoy, then you can make it into probably juice. You can juice it, you can make smoothies of it, you can make your salad interesting. When I say interesting, make your veggies, add some food to it. Add your chicken and all that, then add some food to it. Most fruit gives your normal vitamins. So I'm going to start with apple. Apple will help you with your digestion. The beetroot will help you with metabolism. Citrus fruits, lemon for example, cleanses your system.
Cardoso made this known at the annual Bankers Dinner and 60th anniversary of the Chartered Institute of Bankers of Nigeria (CIBN) in Lagos State. The former Commissioner for Economic Planning and Budget in Lagos said the previous administration pumped 10 trillion naira into quasi-interventionist activities that were not the areas of strength of the Apex Bank. He said events in the past few years have not portrayed the Apex Bank in good light. He said the CBN has strayed from its core mandate and engaged in quasi-fiscal activities through different initiatives in sectors ranging from agriculture, power, and many others. Now, these clearly distracted the bank from achieving its own objectives and took it to areas where it had limited expertise. Furthermore, the Apex Bank chief said commercial banks in the country will be directed to increase their capital base as they do not currently have sufficient capital relative to the finance system needs in servicing a $1 trillion economy. On the show today, we'll keep our eye on the CBN macroeconomic policies, banks recapitalization, and lots more. Welcome to Business Insights in Plus TV Africa. I am Justin Akadonye. Now, in the wake of the biting effect of inflation and its impact, Nigerians have been advised to invest in real estate as it is the best way to shore up economic losses. The convener of the Go Real Pro, Jane Onwumere, said this at the opening of a 2-day real estate network marketing business mastery conference. Details now.
First quarter of 2024, I'm going to do XYZ with this particular affiliate.
This conference is not just about teaching. It is about empowering anyone who wants to be a professional networker and those who want to learn how to apply networking principles to grow their businesses. It kicks off with this panel session.
It's not everybody that you meet that will buy land. Some of them need money.
Participants are taken through effective strategies including personal development, digital and network marketing, among others.
Not everybody is a salesperson. Not everybody is a network marketer. Not everybody, I mean, with all due respect to all the other topics, everything is important. But I believe that everybody should be, regardless of your profession, regardless of your field of endeavor, everybody should be interested in personal development.
But if you would embody the energy of a big time closer, you will close even without speaking to anybody. And somebody says, I want to close with this particular person. They will call your name.
What is your reason for doing digital marketing? Who are your target audience in digital marketing? Now, on the internet, there are various people you meet. There are people you want to make relationship with today and probably do a business transaction with them in future.
We catch up with the convener, Jane Onwumere. She reveals plans to officially unveil a startup grant of 1.5 million naira to 5 million naira to over 120 persons to enable Nigerians and Africans kickstart their journey to becoming real estate professionals.
I saw what we call estate agents, always quarreling over commission, always fighting over, I brought this customer, I did this. And I said to my husband, that we can give this thing a professional look. That agents don't have to fight if we make this thing professional. So that's what gave birth to what is today known as the real estate network marketing business.
She also bears her mind on current economic issues, specifically as they concern real estate development in the country and the way forward.
So if you invest money carefully into real estate, it's something that will eventually come back again and give you back value. You understand? So really, it has not affected real estate. Realtors are coming up every day. Real estate companies are springing up every day, which goes to show that even in the time of inflation, real estate is still working. If all of us join hands together, we will solve the housing problem. And that's what we are going to be explaining tomorrow evening when we get to that part of this program. We are going to be talking to people about how we can collectively confront the housing problem.
Onwumere reveals that the industry must continue to develop more entrepreneurs because there are some gaps that need to be filled if more Nigerians are to become home owners. Welcome back now. The governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, Olayemi Cardoso, has said that for quite some time, there has been a dislocation of the monetary transmission mechanisms, rendering the MPC meetings largely ineffective. Now, Cardoso hinted that a new price management and stability framework that will lead to improvement in average living standards is underway. Now, the inflation management plan, soon to be unveiled by the Central Bank of Nigeria, is in conjunction with the Ministry of Finance and other relevant fiscal authorities. I have the principal partner, Woodridge and Scott Consulting, Segun Shobito, joining me now to discuss further on this development. Good morning to you, Segun. All right, we seem to be having issues. Okay, thanks for staying with us, Segun. Okay, let us start this way. There were lots of revelations and inroads made at the weekend by the central bank governor, Yemi Cardoso, and he has said that his predecessor pumped 10 trillion naira into quasi-interventionist activities that were not the areas of strength of the Apex Bank. How do you reason this aberration? What exactly went wrong?
Okay. Thanks for having me again. The speech of the central bank governor, the new central bank governor, was quite interesting. It was extremely engaging, and it was something that everybody that plays in the financial sector would need to pore over and run through. There was a lot of messaging, and then there were also some things that were not said, but that were kind of alluded to. That it's important that the markets understand. Talking about the activities of the CBN prior to his assumption of this office, describing those activities as an aberration may not be entirely correct, and I am a bit concerned at what appears to be an attempt to demonize the central bank. We have to remember that the central bank is an institution. It's not a person. And the central bank of a country is the central bank of that country, regardless of who the central bank governor might be. Saying that the CBN went outside of its mandate, got distracted, and all of those things may not necessarily be true. So if you look at the things that the central bank was doing with a lot of the policies of the former CBN governor, I think a lot of his policy actions were a big problem for the economy. But I don't think one of those problems was the interventionist activities of the CBN. I think those activities were necessary, given where the Nigerian economy is today. The Nigerian economy is in a crisis. I mean, we have to recognize this. We're in an economic crisis that can be likened to a situation of a country at war. It's that serious. Inflation is out of control. Exchange rates, volatility is out of control. You are having 30-40% swings in the value of your currency within a matter of days. This is an aberration. There is no economy that can survive that kind of volatility, right? So these things have been in our situation for a while. When you run an economy in crisis, interventionist activities by central banks is not an aberration, it's not unusual. And I can give you examples. During the COVID pandemic, 2020 and 2021, all central banks across the entire world, the Federal Reserve, the UK Bank of England, the EU Central Bank, the various country central banks did provide financial intervention programs to fund and boost development and growth, because economies were suffering from potential decline into recession on the back of the decline in economic activity during the COVID pandemic. That's one example. Central banks got directly involved in creating funds and providing those funds to households, to businesses, small businesses, medium-sized businesses, large corporations. The central banks in those countries provided that. You can go back as well to 2007, 2008, the global financial crisis. The central banks across the world provided bailout funds. So this thing that the CBN was doing under Emefiele in the last 3-4 years, the anchor borrower program, the various intervention funds to the aviation sector, to the energy sector, is nothing new. In fact, the Central Bank of Nigeria before Emefiele, 2010, I remember vividly, had a manufacturer sector intervention fund that was specifically targeted at medium-sized manufacturing enterprises that had run into crisis and that had loans that were crippling the banking sector.
All right.
The CBN provided intervention funds to bail those manufacturers out and then to help them revamp their businesses. So when a new CBN governor comes on board and then tries to create the impression that the actions and the activities of the central bank prior to his assumption were abnormal, they are an aberration, they were a distraction, it's not true. It's not true at all. And I wonder what the objectives are. I think what we need to see is the central bank today providing policy direction for the entire economy, monetary and otherwise, to lift us out of the problems that we're seeing now, to curtail inflation as a matter of urgency, and to at the same time boost growth. Those two objectives are very difficult to balance, but they must do it.
All right, Chego, let's still examine some of the things that he said specifically concerning inflation and other macroeconomic indices. The MPC meetings, he actually talked about that and the outcomes, and he said the outcomes have actually been largely ineffective over time. Right now, headline inflation has surged to 27.33% as that's last month figures. Now, Cardoso said the CBN was well aware of the damage inflation had caused to living conditions, and businesses assuring that a new inflation policy would actually, be taken over time. I just want to get your reactions concerning, his statement concerning the outcomes of the MPC and how ineffective they have been.
Yes, I agree with the Central Bank of Governor that the MPC interventions via the traditional monetary policy rate instruments to try to manage inflation has been ineffective. And I've been singing this like a canary for the last 1 year. I've been asking the central bank to stop relating with inflation as though it was just a monetary policy issue, a money supply issue alone, because it's clearly not the case in Nigeria today. So yes, the CBN government is absolutely correct that the MPC pronouncements have not, curtailed the inflation effectively over the years. In the last 24 months or thereabouts, we've seen inflation continuing to increase month on month, except for December. So clearly something wasn't working. So he's correct. Now, what will the solution to that be? I found it a bit curious and maybe worrisome that he did not provide a clear statement with regards to what is happening to the NPR or to the MPC in that speech. All he did say was that they are not holding the MPC meetings for 2 consecutive times now is not in contravention of the law. So, but he did not say what would happen. Are they going to maintain the standard practice that we've had with our central banks of having MPC meetings every 2 months as against once a quarter as provided by the law? And having it every 2 months as against once a quarter is obviously also not against the law. That was being done because the central bank realized that the interventions needed to happen more frequently than what the law provided. But you said you are not breaking the law by not holding the MPC in September and by not holding it in November, but you have not told us when you will hold it. And I think the markets need to have this information.
Right.
So now talking about the inflation management framework that they're coming up with, the market will be waiting eagerly to get the breakdown of what that will contain. Obviously, the NPR must be one of the components of that framework, but we would like to see what the other components would be that might now make the instrumentality of the NPR as a policy instrument more effective. We would have to wait to see that, and it's a good pronouncement from him. But until we see the details, we will not know exactly how it will work.
Okay, now going forward, inadequate foreign exchange supply, depreciation of the exchange rate, limited external reserves, weakened output, and high unemployment have pushed up interest rates, affected asset quality and solvency ratios in the banking sector. Now, Cardoso seems to believe that through targeted policies, in as much as you said that he's not aligned, transparent market operations and coordination between the monetary and the fiscal authorities, we can be assured of a more stable exchange rate, control inflation, and also create an enabling environment for businesses and individuals to thrive. Do you agree? Okay, a whole lot was said by the central bank. Can you hear me now? Please go ahead. Did you get my question?
Yes.
Yeah, please.
I got your question.
All right.
So basically, I found it quite curious that the Central Bank of Nigeria governor spoke about transparency and the importance of transparency to the functioning of especially the foreign exchange markets. All markets, whether they're foreign exchange, financial, capital markets, money markets, whatever kind of market that you're talking about that involves exchange of value, transparency and information flow are very critical components of ensuring that that market is efficient and is achieving its objectives. So it's a good thing that the governor has said that. But what I found also quite curious is the central bank continues to push out information about happenings in the foreign exchange markets without providing adequate information to explain how it is happening. The how is as important as the act itself to ensure that market players can plan. They understand what is happening and why it is happening. So if the CBN says, for example, that backlogs are being cleared, with banks, with the issue of forward contracts and all of that, and with the issue of maybe the airline backlogs, if the CBN says on a week-by-week basis we're clearing these backlogs, I think it is absolutely critical that the CBN provides the how. Because if you do not provide the how to the market, then they cannot independently determine what direction the market will go in. If the how is unsustainable, then the gains that we see in the price, in the valuation of our currency will be temporary. And that will have very damaging effects in terms of long-term, medium-term, and long-term planning for the players in the market. So, yes, the CBN governor is absolutely correct about transparency, but he needs to walk the talk and not just talk it alone. The CBN has been pumping out information without providing the basis of that information. Where is this liquidity coming from? Because we all know, the market.
All right, so very quickly, for sake of time, now let's just finalize on the recapitalization. In 2004, commercial banks were asked to recapitalize from 2 billion to 25 billion naira. Remember the mergers, marriages of misfits, and a whole lot of that came out of all of that. Now, 19 years on, there are plans for banks to boost their capital base to meet with the expectations of a growing economy. I just want to quickly get your thoughts concerning this recapitalization for commercial banks.
Well, I mean, look, if you want to grow your economy to a 1 trillion naira economy in about 4 or 5 years, there is nothing wrong with saying that your financial systems must also be stronger, must develop the capital capacity to fund and drive that growth. So asking for a recapitalization is not necessarily a bad thing. I think what would be very critical, like the CBN governor has said, we have stability in the banking sector in particular at the moment. What you don't want to do is to rock the boat. So whatever the approach, the implementation approach for this capitalization exercise is very critical. Number one, you don't want to do it in a rushed manner. Number two, you want to allow the players in the industry to have a significant say in how they go about achieving this recapitalization. So regulation must provide guidance rather than compel action. And I think if we do that, then we will definitely achieve the gains that the CBN governor spoke about and will be trying to achieve.
So any challenges on the part of the commercial bank themselves in terms of mergers, acquisitions, or any other ways that you want to go about that?
Absolutely. It's capitalization would happen either by virtue of mergers, acquisitions, or by raising of new capital. Whichever one of those options that you look at, it's not going to be a walk in the park. Depending on the quantum of increase, the quantum of change that the CBN will be imposing on the banking industry, it might be easy and it might not be so easy. What we would expect, we probably will be seeing some further consolidation in the sector as a result of this. I cannot, for the life of me, say anything wrong with that. I think that's good. I think stronger banks are good to create a strong economy. And hopefully guidance would also be provided by the CBN to ensure that that strength in the banking sector is transmitted down the bottom of the pyramid to the poorest of the poor in the economy.
All right, thank you so much, Shego. We'll just have to let you go because we are completely out of time. Shego Shokito is the principal partner at Wood Regents Court Consulting. Many thanks for being a part of the show.
Always a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
All right, that's the size of the show for today. I am Justin. Academia Business Insight returns to your screen same time. Bye for now.
Nobody go ask if you don't chop. Nobody go send you free money. If you no get now, you sabi. Adulthood na scam.
Adulthood Na Scam is a popular song depicting the travails of being an adult and the responsibility that comes with it. There is no time the enormity of the responsibility dawns more than after graduation. After graduation is the time to make use of and put into practice the knowledge gained by students. However, the current higher education system is still struggling to bridge the gap between school and the workplace for students. The needs of the workplace differ, and something as simple as writing a CV is not taught in the classroom. How to apply what you have learned in school in the workplace is usually a knowledge gap that most graduates struggle with after graduation. Studying a particular course and deeply understanding the career paths available, the jobs available, the way companies and organizations operate, how to get hired, getting the relevant experience needed to get hired, knowing how to sell your skills are all parts of the puzzles that needs to be figured out by the young graduate. Abiola Ogunleye is a final year student of the University of Lagos, and he shares that he expected being in the university to be much more immersive.
I was expecting to, be in a department where, aside theory that I would learn in class, of course I expected to learn theory, history and all of that, and how to go about things, but I expected university to be like how I saw it in the movies, where you'd have real life projects to undo, you do practicals, you do carry out. So for someone that was going to mass comm, I went into mass comm with the mindset of possibly being on radio or TV and also journalism. So with the mindset of, okay, being part of the press club, producing newspapers, covering stories in school, producing shows and hosting them in school.
Even in terms of as simple as terms, media terms, like we didn't learn media terms, like even courts, we don't know what courts means, you understand? We don't know what, there are some terms, I'm just talking about terminologies here, like the most basic thing. So when I'm on set for a modeling shoot, or because I did some radio listening, there were some terms that I did not understand, and when you check the terms, like there's some even workshop, they make use of workshop studio. So sometimes I was like, what's that? And like people are like, you don't know something as simple as your workshop or the studio or headshots. Terminologies, just terminologies.
With a constantly evolving workforce and without a corresponding update in the school curriculum, the young people who win are those who go out of their way to learn skills required to be employable in the marketplace.
For example, in my school, we have we have the newspaper, we have the radio and TV, but for most of it, you have to be the one that will take the extra effort to be intentionally involved in them. You can just decide to do your coursework away from all of this and just factor it. Except in a few cases, like with the newspaper, where it's actually a course and you have to take it, but it's not compulsory if you don't want to take it. So, and mostly for folks in the print, in the public relations and other departments, there really isn't much of a way for them to practice in school. For now, it's just the newspaper, the print segment, and the broadcast segment that is in school.
TechCabal reported in 2020 that 58.9% of HND graduates are unemployed, 49.55% of OND graduates are unemployed, and 39.75% of BSc holders are unemployed. With the current Nigerian curriculum, there is an even lesser emphasis on soft skills that have gained prominence lately in the workplace. According to Rohan Rajiv, Director of Product Management at LinkedIn, in the Forbes article said, foundational soft skills have become even more important given the rise of remote and autonomous work, and are growing in importance across industries, levels, and work environments. Abiola explains that there is no room for soft skills in the classroom during his university education.
I don't think the curriculum or the course itself prepares you for all of that, for soft skills. It's just mostly, what happens is that they mostly focus on the course itself and not the soft skills. yeah, they try to implement it in terms of maybe when you are doing group projects, you have to collaborate with others. That's teaching you teamwork. You have to do research on your own. You have to do a couple of other things on your own. To learn all of that, it's going to be more of personal development on your own. And I think that's what, little associations here, like student associations, will now take up all of that and introduce other aspects that the school is not entirely focusing on. But when it comes to the core academic content is what schools are majorly focusing on delivering.
As many universities strive to update their curriculum and arm students with the skills they require to compete in today's labor force, the onus lies on students to take the extra effort to research, learn, and put themselves out there to get the required knowledge to survive. Some of the ways to prepare for life after school are extra research. Apart from the required coursework, developing an actual interest in what you are studying and researching the career opportunities are important. Having the right knowledge of what is required of you is the first step. This knowledge can help you make informed decisions about the right opportunities to look out for. Consider internship while in school. Even if your coursework doesn't require it, meet professionals in your industry to give you internship opportunities so you can have an experience that will help you both in your academics and when you graduate. Volunteer. Part of exposing yourself to experiences that can expand your network is to volunteer. There are many organizations, bodies that need people to volunteer. When you do, you can meet people, learn skills that will help you in the next step. Bridge your knowledge gap. There are many avenues, centers, online resources available to learn both hard and soft skills to make you more employable in the labor market. Apply for jobs while in school. Even if you don't get them, the experience would challenge you to write CVs and have an understanding of what is required in the job market when you are finally ready. Besides, who knows, you might land one and that would be the start of your career.
Welcome to this edition of Timeless Conversations. My guest today is a person, I don't want to say a young man. I believe when you say a young man, you are just saying know your space too. But is a man I met about 15 years ago. It was a chance encounter. He's a very serious entrepreneur. He has a lot of energy, and if he loves anywhere, he loves the country. Nigeria. Alfred Okoro, you're welcome.
Thank you, sir.
Nice to see you.
Yes, sir.
You're looking all sharp. Well, welcome. I asked you to come on this conversation set because, so let's meet who Alfred Okoro is.
Wow, okay. That's a summary, right?
Yeah.
My name is Alfred Okoro, and was born and raised here. And luckily migrated to the States at 18, did my college, and came back in 2005 to start a business going into the broadcast media. Fast forward to that, which is when we met, and moved back in 2016 when I got married. And since then, still have this itch that I can't scratch that is bringing me back.
There's still that itch. The
Yes.
itch is called Nigeria.
Yes.
Why Nigeria?
It's home. I don't know how else to explain it. To me, Nigeria is home, regardless of where you go. And I feel that when you consider a place home, Everything else is temporary.
So, being in diaspora is temporary. Your home is Nigeria, wherever you go. Okay, but as someone who has tasted both sides now and you're back in the States, yet you still want to come to Nigeria, don't people ask you, what do they do you?
Every day, my mom does, my wife does, and my kids are not grown up enough to ask me, but I'm sure they will someday. But the fact remains that this country is filled with possibilities. It's just mismanaged.
Mismanaged in what sense?
No direction. And by no direction, I simply mean that the whole entity, I'm not sure we know what Nigeria is. I think it's just being called a name, Nigeria. We're divided, a nation divided. That's my perspective of it. And from that angle, I look at possibilities. There is nothing that is not here. Absolutely not. The Nigerians here seem frustrated. Everybody wants to leave. And the moment they cross these waters, they excel. Both Yoruba, Igbo, Hausa, South, everybody in Nigeria. We've been ranked the most successful ethnic group in the United States. Why is it that we excel there, but not at home? It can only lead to the direction.
But what do you think can be done to fix that misdirection or lack of direction? What?
Well, for me, just like when you speak with everybody, everybody identifies problem. It's easy to identify a problem. A little kid today can identify the problem with Nigeria. I just don't think we have gotten to the point where we're fed up to say, you know what, let us make this place a home. Let us call it a home, not just a place that we find ourselves in.
You know, something that has been curious about you is that all the while that I've known you, I've never heard you say something like, let's go our separate ways.
No, I do not believe that. I completely believe we are better together. The beauty of this country is the diversity.
Can you throw more light on that?
Absolutely. If you ask the normal person, the greatest country in the world, it's called the United States. Who's an American? There's the Indian, there's the Chinese, there's the Asian, there's the African, there's everybody. Our diversity makes us the better. I believe so. I will be one of those to tell you I do not believe this country was designed to succeed. But so what? This is the card we're dealt, and we have to play that card.
But then, even if it was not designed to succeed, can't those who found themselves in there with the benefit of education and vision make it succeed?
Well, education is not knowledge. I feel that we, so far, are individualistic. And that still comes to nobody has defined this entity called home.
By we, do you mean all of us as Nigerians or particular ethnic groupings?
Every single one of us. I do not believe we call this place home. And I say that because where in Nigeria would you say is world standard? Despite all the resources. You look at the South with all the oil there, it's like a dump, unfortunately polluted. You look at the North with the massive land up there. What are we producing out of it? You look at the Southwest with the waters. What are we doing with the marine technology? So for me, I always use the we so as not to isolate everybody else. And I strongly believe that the problem with Nigeria is psychological. I think what we just need is a psychological reorientation. We have the ability, we have the knowledge, we have the talent. We're just not being harnessed and directed properly.
I always share with people the thought that what we need is a psychic reorientation in Nigeria. And I'm glad you said so too, but I want you to throw light on how that can happen.
The orientation being that I think Nigeria has had leaders by the true definition of it. My problem with those leaders is that they happen to be regional leaders, not national leaders. And that makes a whole difference.
Yeah.
If you have 3 major ethnic groups, no disrespect to the other minor ethnic groups, but if we were to just work with 3 for the sake of our conversation, an Igbo leader is more concerned about the Southeast. A Yoruba leader is more concerned about the Southwest. An Hausa leader is concerned about the North. Is that what it's supposed to be? If you preach what Nigeria, it shouldn't matter where it is. Any kid from the South, not interested in marine or anything with petrol, to advise anybody or to talk to anybody, we should make a state of residence. It doesn't matter where you're from.
Hold that thought. We'll take a break now. When we're back, we'll continue with Alfred Okoro on Which Way Nigeria. Welcome back to Timeless Conversations. Alfred Okoro is my guest. Now, Alfred, you were saying something about changing the state of origin to state of residence, right?
Yes.
But that brings something to my mind. There is the National Youth Service Corps. There's a compulsory one-year service that every graduate of a higher institution must undertake. What do you think of it?
The mindset behind it is great. The implementation, I believe, is flawed. Because what would you say that a corporate today gets out of that 1 year of service? What really is the objective? You have corporates that are posted to places where they don't have accommodation. You have corporates that are placed in places that have absolutely zero help from the system. You have people paid to be posted to a different place. I mean, it happens everywhere. I just believe the implementation of the system is flawed. And by the state of residence, I don't think that a Yoruba or an Igbo boy born in Kaduna, it doesn't make you less of an Igbo and a Yoruba boy, but you are from Kaduna. Why? I believe you protect where you call home, your organizational behavior. I was born and raised in Enugu State, but my parents are from Imo. Where do you think I actually know?
Enugu now.
But I can't do anything in Enugu State. I have to go to Imo State.
Are you kidding?
No, but isn't that the law?
Is that the law now?
Lagos is a little different, because I understand that in Lagos, it doesn't matter, you've had senators or anything, but that's not practicable in any state outside of this. Legally, you can do something, but you are not from there, this indigenization concept. And I feel that makes people grow where they have no passion for. Let's look at that in law enforcement. You take a northern policeman, let's say a policeman from Kaduna, post him to Ogun State. His family is in Kaduna. He's the only one in Ogun State. There's a shooting somewhere, very violent shooting. What real interest does he have to interfere? What does he have to lose? Now, hold that thought. If his kids and his family are residents of that state and there's a problem, what do you think he would do? It doesn't matter his tribe. It doesn't matter his region. That's his home. So you can't post people where they have no affinity, no family association. And that's because of this indigenization concept, I believe. You have Igbo kids, I would say, grow up in the north. They don't call themselves northerners, but they're more northerners than Igbo. Where is their productivity coming from? For me, I simply believe that if we are able to do so, then you can see Igbos, you can see Yorubas that are in the north say, this is where I'm from. They participate locally, they participate nationally, but in that interest of their organizational behavior, not necessarily this geographical land called Southwest.
But sometime in the past, in our history, we had people who were not from particular ethnic groupings residing there and even running for public office and being voted for successfully.
It's not illegal, but is it practicable?
But what went wrong? It seems we don't trust ourselves.
Possibly.
Or we're suspicious of each other.
Well, to me, on my own capacity, I believe that's that vacuum of leadership. Because based on my experience, when you say this vacuum of leadership, it's not that somebody is not occupying that seat. But when you have someone unqualified in a position that has nothing to offer, they feed on your fears. When you have an unqualified leader as the governor of a state, they will tell the locals that the foreigners are taking their jobs. Now, without those foreigners, would those jobs exist in the first place? What kind of jobs are we talking about? So it boils down to leadership at the end of the day, regardless. I think every other issue identifying as symptoms of a problem. I like using local examples. If you have a stream that is polluted, it's like water fountain falling down and it's polluted. Where do you start treating the water?
From the top.
You have to start from the top. Regardless of what you do on the bottom, the dirty water still comes down. We have to go all the way upstream. Is it going to be overnight? Absolutely not. But it has to be a buy-in from our stakeholders. Without that, I think we're just rubbing Band-Aid on the issues.
Now, you see, I want to dwell a bit more on the role of the youth in nation building. Historically, those who emerged as leaders were young people at some point, some of them even getting elected to the House of Representatives or even the Senate at 23, 25 and all that. And we even had a head of state who who got married in office, and he was in his early 30s. Today, the people in that age grouping seem to be so disillusioned that what we keep hearing most of the time is about them, some of them, not all of them, but the ones that are very popular are those who engage in internet fraud, popularly or called Yahoo and all that, or who just want to get rich quickly. Do you think if the National Youth Service program were overhauled, there could be something in it for the youth to assist them in looking forward to a very good future of service?
The question you hit on, the way I would tackle it is I look at things differently. One key thing is I try to look at things, it's easy to look at things from a first and second person perspective. But to push it a notch, also try to look at it from the third and the fourth person perspectives, where you don't see the people that would benefit from your actions. To me, I see the fraudster as a very intelligent person that is misdirected. It's not easy to scam people out of their money. Now imagine that same fraudster in a lab somewhere working on some research. It's misdirection.
Yeah.
The youth of this country, which I believe I'm still a part of, is lack of direction that bothers us. Now, I can blame us for not taking charge. I'm not saying we're lack of blame. But it translates from the fact that we've sold our souls to cash. In Igbo, there's a proverb, it might lose meaning in translation, which says, if you tell a kid what it takes to be successful, he would rather be poor.
Say it first in Igbo.
Okay, what it just means, if you tell a poor person what it takes to be successful, he will rather be poor. The problem with that is people look at success as money. That's a literal translation. But it's a proverb, which means it's not supposed to be a literal translation. Now, if you flip it, that word success could be anything. It could be being a great father. It could be being a mentor, being a teacher that graduates all your students of your class and make sure that they advance. It could be anything. It could be a businessman that takes care of people. It could be an orphanage that gets kids placed. That's success. But what is success to the average person today? How much money is in your bank account? I'm not taking away the merits of economics, but the point is that we have translated success as cash. And if you translate it as cash and I don't have a job, I'm going to do whatever means necessary to get cash because that's what we've translated success to be. And at the end of the day, it boils down to direction, misdirection, I would say, lack of leadership. Growing up, the adage used to be, walk before you run. Technology makes it, you don't necessarily need to walk, you can run. Communication has been hastened, but are we really following? I don't think we are. Look at internet penetration in the country. I wouldn't say it's where it is currently. I believe investment in technology, absolutely. I don't think we are where we are technologically to be able to do anything else. But technology should play a role, and that's where the youths are involved. Mass communication is easy now. you can literally reach masses with a tweet.
Yeah.
It matters.
Yeah.
But also, it comes with its own problems. Fake news.
Fake news.
Fake news destroys more than bullets because it poisons minds.
Yeah.
So as much as I'm very pro-technology, I believe in technology that is checked also. That's where I am. Everything that has a positive also has a negative. We have to be in the in-between.
Still talking technology, you know, I know that, for instance, in our space,
yes,
the media space, a lot has happened. You have more people now who watch stuff online than like 10 years ago.
Yes.
Or like even than 3 years ago. But you find that most people still need to subscribe to pay before they can use certain apps and all that. Is it just because it's here in Nigeria and the cost of data and all that?
I wouldn't really say it's because it's Nigeria. I think it's an economic model. If I build a platform, it's all purely economics. I wouldn't fault someone if they make something free or if they make something to pay. I think if you make yours to pay, it creates me an opportunity to have one that is for free. So for me, I don't think that is our problem. I just don't think that our governments, I'm not specific to any
level.
I'm not saying general. I actually prefer to call him general. I don't think his government is at fault in terms of technology penetration or anything like that. What I just think, we don't have a roadmap to be inclusive. What is our rural technology plan? You go to some places, there's no cell reception. But other countries now are making sure that everybody's online to be able to be reached for whatever reason it is. Where we're going with technology, honestly, I don't even think that's the first step. I think we just don't have a roadmap. And personally, I religiously believe for us to get anything right, we have to go back to the drawing board to define this entity called Nigeria, because it's not working.
We'll continue with that definition very soon. We'll take a break now.
Thank you.
So welcome back to the program. Alfred is still my guest. Yes, Alfred. You said something about a roadmap. What kind of roadmap do you want to develop?
For me, my objective is I would like to create a roadmap where an opportunity that will help us define this entity. For me, having met a lot of people in this country, having been to a lot of places in this country, and I've taken pride of going to about 34 states in this country by road.
By road?
Yes. And the beauty about that is you see how beautiful this country can be. My love for this country has no relationship with being north or south. I just look at it from a potential perspective. And it's sad when you see talent being wasted. I feel privileged on my own to have been able to be sent to the kind of school that I was sent to by my parents, to have the privilege to go to a different country. But how do we implement that back home?
But that's your trip.
Yes.
To 34 states.
Yes.
By road. Give me like 2 takeaways.
This country is beautiful.
This country is what?
It's beautiful.
That's one.
Yes. The potential is massive. But it also shows me that what unites us is way bigger than what divides us.
That's deep.
Our similarities are way more than our divisions. Our divisions are probably language, religion.
Yeah.
How does that stop us from integrating? But the unification possibilities that we have in this country are huge, humongous.
In about, say, 50 years, if that were possible, how would you forecast Nigeria would be?
First of all, now I want to go back to working before we run.
Ah, okay.
Okay, because just like Wi-Fi technology, Somewhere at the back, there is a cable. I don't think we can progress the way the system is set up. I do not believe so. Because if you look at a typical Nigerian, you see eyes filled with hopelessness. And that is a problem. If you bring a typical Nigerian that's probably not from what we'd call the middle class or the upper class and whatnot, what is their hope? What are they looking forward to? When you identify the word Nigeria to them, what does it mean? To me, it's hopelessness, and that is the drive.
But how do we address this?
We have to sell hope back.
Sell hope back?
Yes.
How?
By redefining Nigeria. I'm not saying it's... Number one is, if it was easy, it would be a cakewalk. It would be a child's play. I'm not saying that what we desire to get, that what we desire to want to do is, it's not supposed to be easy. But I see a Nigeria where if a Yoruba boy is good in solar technology, we should ship him out to the northwest. No, northeast. If an Igbo boy is good in agriculture, we send him out to the northwest. If an outside kid happens to be one of the best petrochemical engineers that graduated, he has no business in the north. He should be in the south-south. Vice versa. There are so many. The beauty of this country is its diversity. Southwest doesn't have everything. Southeast doesn't have everything. The north doesn't have everything. So we have to break down those barriers to make everyone feel at home, that this is home, so that we're in the southwest, so that a Yoruba kid could wake up and go to Kaduna and meet their residency laws and be a Yoruba person from Kaduna. His interest is now in Kaduna. I don't see how that affects his tribe. But for us to progress, for him to be able to do that, which is what I believe will progress us. Now, this is not something that you say, this is a magic one, let's do this and Nigeria will be better. No, do I expect resistance? Absolutely. But I just hope that my generation will realize that our parents failed us.
That's unfair.
That's our reality. But more challenging that we don't fail our kids.
I want to challenge you.
Please go ahead.
Your generation cannot say that your parents' generation failed you.
They're the leaders.
But they gave you education. They sent
What
you
kind
to
of
school.
education?
They exposed you.
I've met mass comm students that have never touched the camera. I've met computer engineers that have never had a laptop. I have met pharmacists that have probably, no, I haven't met pharmacists, but I'm mostly in my technological space. But I have met graduates that only studied what the school offered them.
They didn't have a practical side to it.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
I have met someone that desired to, one of my sisters desired to be a pharmacist, but the school she never got a school that offered her that. Actually, now it's automatic for me that if you tell me you studied something of biological sciences, I believe you wanted to be a doctor. That you just couldn't get medicine. That education is flawed. The education we have here is a certificate. It's not practical.
So that's not just about the parents, because some of your group are already in the educational system.
Well,
so maybe that takes us back to your leadership failure mantra.
Science teaches us. I read a book by Marcus Aurelius that said, every complex problem, simplify it. When I study Nigeria from my own lens, from my capabilities, which I want to believe is different from a whole lot of people, if I were to simplify it, it narrows down to leadership. What is the job of a leader? To give direction. Why is this road bad? The road being bad is not the problem, it's why is it actually bad? If we narrow it down, whose job is it to do? If you narrow it all the way down, you could do with budgeting, you could do with enforcement, you could do with a whole lot of things. But for me, the leadership vacuum happens to be our whole problem. And I pray and hope that my generation would understand that the only way out of this is to play inclusive politics. But not just playing inclusive politics, the objective should be first, let's redefine this entity called Nigeria in our own terms, where we will all believe that it's home.
Okay, so inclusive politics. Let's talk politics a bit.
Please.
But I will relate it to something about development. Growing up, I know that sports was used as a tool.
Yes.
To harness the boundless energies of youngsters. And there was something you could predict. Oh, this guy, send him to go and learn swimming. This one, train him in track and field and all that. And then, of course, football. How is our sports field like now, as a young person?
We're a sports-loving nation, football-loving nation.
What does that mean?
I want to believe that we are all into the European Premier League,
Yes,
English Premier League. Whenever they're playing, we know everything. What is ours? What teams do we have? What is you hear about our female soccer stars come back and they're not paid. You hear about our athletes go to perform to come back and they're not being paid. What is the motivation to represent this country? That is on the professional side. What is the growth plan? We don't have stadiums. When I was in primary school between 1991 and 1996, there's always inter-house sports. Every year there is an inter-house sports. You look forward to it. We compete with each other. How relevant is that now in harnessing the capabilities of the youth? We're soccer-loving nations. How many mini soccer pitches would you say you have? I'm sure you travel, you go to the UK, which is also a soccer-loving nation. You drive within neighborhoods. How many soccer pitches would you see? It doesn't have to be massive, but you see people practicing. Growing up in the States, we're more basketball and American football. You see basketball rims in virtually every county. You don't need anybody else to just go and practice. I believe sports on its own, even the income it will generate for this government, for the system, but let's not even focus on the income. Let's focus on the human capacity development. But we're not doing anything about it. What are the ministries doing to say, let's find the future stars of tomorrow and harness them? You look at, unfortunately, because of COVID, nobody is really looking at Olympics 2021. But I remember in 1996 in the Olympics, you can identify more than 20 Nigerian names born in Nigeria, not born abroad, born in Nigeria, that naturalized on different countries, just so that they will have the opportunity to participate. Why should that be the case? We are pushing away doctors. We're pushing away lawyers. We're pushing away professors. And in the same space, other people are coming in. Who are those people? Do they see this place more as a home than we do? I don't know. I don't have the answer. But I genuinely believe that running away isn't the solution. But I can share their pain. I can share the pain of a 21-year-old or a 22-year-old that's probably the oldest in their family with no job, with a supposed degree and no job. What is he or she supposed to do? The parent might be retired without a pension. Is someone being penalized? You see a government official or a pension commissioner or whatever loot the pension. I'm particular about the pension because that is the livelihood of families. What happens to him or her? What is this down effect of those? What is the downstream effect of ruining the pension system?
That's the kind of thing that will lead me to ask you about the impact of discipline. That's personal and corporate discipline. In our society, everything seems to have fallen apart.
You can relate it to, I honestly can't even say it's one thing. I genuinely believe we have sold our souls to the concept of cash. Cash is king. Whatever you have to do to make money. I have zero problem with economics. I have zero problem with the pursuit of your happiness. I actually religiously believe that. And if I get the opportunity, what I want to sell people is more strength in your pursuit of happiness, whatever your happiness might be. I can't make you to do good things, but I can punish you for doing bad. The limits to where we have decayed as a nation, I can't put a hand to where it is. But I can say it started from the erosion of the local governments.
Okay, but then what about the home? What about the home? Discipline starts in the home.
Yes, discipline starts in the home. And let's say, for example, a mother is supposed to discipline a child. Fair enough. Is the mother at home? Where is she? What if she's working? What system do we have? I don't think it's a one-size-fits-all. I do genuinely believe that, yes, family plays a huge part in a child's upbringing. But for me to judge a parent, I have to know where you're coming from.
In trying to know where they're coming from,
yes,
you must also try to understand, what the basic thresholds are for us as a society. What's that?
There's no price to pay. But the same person, would they do that in front of the cantonment gate? The same driver that would come here, double park, block the road, no care about the backup of traffic or whatever, run a red light, would they do the same in front of the cantonment gates where the military are? Price and punishment.
Well, so then it's
there's no price to pay for anything goes in Nigeria today.
I believe that even the individual should be able to say, this is beneath me, I'm not going to do it.
But then you're taking away the concept of being human. As human beings, we will do whatever we'll get away with. If not, there wouldn't be laws. The law is there to enforce what we desire as a society.
So now, imagine a young person, well, a person, let's not say is young or old, a person who wants to be involved in politics but who has no personal scruples and all that. What kind of politician is that going to be?
That's a tough one.
Yes, it is.
Because it's intrinsic. My motivation didn't come from anybody. My motivation came when I realized that I mustn't be the king. I mustn't be the number one. Because speaking with my colleagues, speaking with a bunch of friends, speaking with people I believe that are opportuned, the bigger problem that we have, I don't know if it's a black problem, but the biggest problem we have, nobody wants to be willing to pay the ultimate price. Nobody wants to do anything they will not enjoy the benefits of it. Nobody wants to start anything that they will not live to enjoy, which is a big problem because life has a weird sense of humor.
Yeah.
I could start something, and Martin Luther King, did he see the civil rights he fought for?
No, he didn't.
It actually got propelled after his death. So do you think his wife was happy about that? I bet you not. She wants her husband, probably. I don't know her, but I want to assume that she wants her husband. For me, like I said, the itch that is itching me is a selfish interest. Very selfish. It just happens to be that this is home. I'm not doing it because I love anybody else. I'm not doing it because I love the people. I'm doing it because I want my home to be better.
You want your home to be better. You want your people to
and
be better.
And if you're an occupant of my home, your benefit.
Okay, so now let's localize it. You're from Imo. You schooled in Enugu, more or less grew up in Enugu.
Let me just say something. I hope it doesn't take us away.
Yeah,
I think a few years back, Abia State was created from Imo. But the Abia State governor told the Imo State teachers or something to go home. I had a problem with that. These are people that have lived there all their lives. But that's the issue that we're talking about. Enugu State and Anambra, this indigenization concept of somebody telling you you're not from here. How can you tell someone that have lived in a place all their lives that they're not from there? There are Igbo people in Lagos that are more Igbo than some Yoruba people that probably have never lived in Lagos. My wife was born and brought up in Lagos. She speaks more Yoruba than Igbo. You would actually think she's more Yoruba until you probably hear her name and last name and whatnot. To me, my Nigeria, and I'm internalizing it because it might not be someone else's, and I believe there should be diversity of opinions. There should be diversity of minds. We should not all agree. In my Nigeria, she's a Lagosian.
Yeah, she is.
Lagos is a little different.
No, but she's a Lagosian.
Okay.
She is a Lagosian.
And yeah, an Igbo person from Lagos.
Yes.
That's my Nigeria.
That's who
the
she
way
is.
I want to say it. Well, I'm not sure that's how it is applicable in the whole country, though.
No, well, you said Lagos. That's how it is in Lagos.
No,
I can say
Lagos
that.
is one
and
out
you
of
have
30.
experienced it.
Yes.
So, but what I'm saying is that if it happened that in Imo, no, not Imo now, in Enugu, where you grew up,
yes,
right, you can't come out to run for, say, Senate.
The local sentiment.
Yes. They say,
is
no,
that
he's not one of us.
No.
How do we prevent that? That's people saying that.
And that's when
That's
words,
not government now. That's people.
Yes, sir. That's when words matter. That's when psychological matter. That's when orientation matters. Because when you look at a document, it says states of origin, state of residence. Then you should never bring up Imo. You can ask me
Or
place
even
of
state
birth.
of birth.
Yes.
Yes.
If we focus on that, that's the thing about time. It might not be my generation. But my grandchildren, when they grow up, they'll look at their friends and, where were you born? Then we can have that mindset that it doesn't matter where somebody's from. The America we look up to, George Bush is from Texas. His younger brother is from Florida. Obama was born in Hawaii. He was the senator from Chicago. I forgot where Hillary Clinton was born, but she's the senator from New York. It doesn't matter because these states define their residency laws. And the moment you meet those residency laws, you're a resident. That's where you're from. That you were born in America, you're an American citizen, not a state resident. You have to actually reside in the states and meet their residency laws to be a resident of that state. I moved from Boston to Georgia. I'm no longer a Boston resident. I have zero business with Boston anymore. Now I'm a resident of Georgia. Whatever I want to do, if I want to run U.S. local politics, I can only run it in Georgia now, even though I've lived there less than a year, because I met their residency laws. So it's the downtrodden, it's the psychological effect of words. It matters. If you keep asking me state of origin, the word origin means something. You didn't ask me place of birth. You didn't even ask me if I've gone there. What does it matter? Ask me where I'm born. Ask me where I reside. If you don't have my father's documentation, how is that my problem? But I genuinely believe that word, state of origin and state of, I believe that word, state of origin, should be scrapped.
Okay.
It has a
The
negative
concept
effect.
of state of origin should be scrapped.
I genuinely believe that.
Okay, well, before it is scrapped, I know that your state of origin is Imo.
Yes.
It's Imo.
Yes.
Now, so your parents are from Imo, so you have some very deep affinities with Imo.
Absolutely.
All right, so looking at Imo State today.
Yes. Economic possibilities. When I was running my company here, just like every other state in the country, in this country, which I believe is blessed, it's blessed with youth. And no nation can run without youth. It's just direction of energy. Where are you directing that energy towards?
So there's youth.
Youth is the power, is the will. The Chinese population and all that, if they get into their 60s now, that becomes a liability. It's that youth from, I would say, for lack of a better word, 16 through maybe 45 or something, that productive youth. the state is blessed with youth, abundance, natural resources and whatnot. They're just not being harnessed. Now, I don't want to say is this administration or that administration. As a collective, we don't have the kind of leadership we desire or we deserve.
That's generally and then particularly in Imo State. Now, what do you think the youth can do in this particular case of Imo State?
Well, if I isolate it, I think it's going to be rolled out and everything because it's the same. But if we trace back a little bit to the end SARS movement, what I got out of that movement is the power of organization. Now, I'm not talking about the end results or what started it, but the power when people come together. What I believe was wrong with it was the direction of the movement. Okay, how, strategy, bullet points, a figurehead. You can't run anything without a figurehead. But let it be a sample, a test sample of how things come up. What I love about what happened is the potential. When people come together, what can happen? And whatever can happen to Imo State can happen to Enugu, can happen to Ogun, Ondo, everywhere. Nigeria is blessed with youth. I'm not 100 on the numbers, but I think about 40 to 60% of the Nigerian population are youths. If we graduate from the 18 to 45 or something, are youths.
Yeah.
Productive youths.
Yeah.
Are we taking advantage of what is our unemployment population? It's skyrocketing now. So for me, I want to say it's unfortunate because you can't say I want to build road when someone is hungry. You can't say I want to do this, build hospital, when someone is not even eating. I think we have a microeconomic problem and that we have leaderships that don't understand the importance of small-term wins.
Okay. So what kind of small-term wins would you suggest in the case of Imo?
A hypothetical.
Yes, hypothetical, yes.
A hypothetical, if I were to run Imo State, number one would be, how do I put food on the table of citizens? It could be a welfare. It could be, give me your documentation. We have NIN now, we have BVNs now, where I find out the people that are not, the population that are not working, maybe the first week, 2 weeks, mini handout just to be able to be sure that people have something to eat. You create a skill acquisition program whereby after 3 months for this to continue, you must go somewhere to get a skill. When you come out of that, I have to also be prepared to be able to offer you something. It could be a credit to start whatever it is you're good at.
Yeah.
But it is very hard to talk to a hungry person. And when people are hungry, you could, and I think that's why stomach infrastructure politics works. And I think that's why our politicians today take advantage of it. When people are hungry, they can do anything to eat. Short-term solution will be putting food on the table. Now, that's the end result. How we go about that. We don't have social programs. Who takes care of the disabled? If someone is genuinely disabled, disabled doesn't mean when you have, it could be psychological. It could be emotional, it could be a mental problem. You're disabled. Who takes care of those people? Are they not citizens?
Yes, they are.
What plans do we have for them? Is it when we see them roaming on the streets and then naked trying to eat out of the gutter that we think they have, we call this a mad person? No. It could be a psychological problem that probably just needs health care.
Okay.
Yes.
We'll take another break now. We'll be back. So welcome back to Timeless Conversations with Alfred Okoro as my guest. So Alfred, we're talking politics now.
Yes, sir.
Politics, young people are not participating.
No.
Why?
We have political parties not based on ideology. I'm speaking from my
go ahead.
experience,
I mean,
and I want to
qualified.
believe a lot of people share the same sentiment. What really is the difference between APC and PDP?
Title.
Half of the governors from PDP have migrated to APC. What is their ideology? I do not believe we have ideology-based politics. Now, the problem, because I haven't played in that politics, could be completely different, but it doesn't exist. You can't say that PDP is conservative and that APC is liberal. You cannot say that. Yeah. Even though I believe that a party should both have a liberal and conservative arms of it, depending on the geographical region, whereby one party, even let's use APC for example, the northern part of the country are more conservative than the southern part. So I would expect APC members in the north to be more conservative than APC members in the south. But people do not participate because they do not believe in the message. I was here in 2015 when Baba's election. I am not going to lie, I have never been around in a time where people were filled with hope. Maybe it turned out to just be a marketing gimmick. It's not just about me directly, but where is those promises? And for me, personally, I voted for General Buhari. Yeah, maybe I think what we have is President Buhari, but what I voted for was the general that was going to instill discipline in us, that was going to bring us this military structure. I'm not sure that I'm sure there are so many things that I do not know that is transpiring, but I don't think we are getting the short end of it.
Well, quite to be fair to the government, they're building some infrastructure, fixing some interstate and federal
One
roads.
credit I would give this government is on macroeconomics. I'm not an economist, so my words might be a little different, but I think I flew into Abuja and I was impressed with the airport. Apart from that, this government, the huge credit I would give to them is from 1999, this is the only government that continued the previous administration's projects, that never abandoned them. Even if they didn't come up with brand new ones on their own, there are no ghost projects. That was very common in our politics, whereby this governor starts this road. Oh, because it's not me that started it, I don't want to give credit to this, I'm not going to. And you see that on the social media scheme, whereby the PDP sympathizers, when a railroad is completed or something, they're like, but he didn't start it. So what? To me, personally, I give them kudos on the macro level. But I'm not sure they get a pass on the micro level, and which is food on the table of everyday Nigerians. And I believe the general that people were clamoring for was the man of the people. I'm sure, like I said, it's not a criticism, but if we are to assess, I think on the micro level, I think we got the short end of the stick, if we were to look at it from that perspective.
So let's flip back to the youth now.
Yes.
How do we get them interested?
We need to resell the youth on this entity called Nigeria, because I do not genuinely feel that they believe in this project.
Well, you still fall within that category, youth. So how would you sell the entity Nigeria to your fellow compatriots?
By selling them authenticity, by selling them genuineness, and by sensitization. Because it's easy to fall apart when you don't believe people, and we don't believe our politicians. Where someone, please allow me to backtrack a little bit. During the COVID,
yes,
there was a lockdown, and there was the riots, and people busted into a factory. The word became a social media meme, palliatives. How can we justify that? Food that was destined for the populace was being hoarded by politicians. How can I justify that? We're talking about food. Forget the money. We are talking about food.
Yes.
And people are supposed to quarantine. So let's use the people that are working in hospitals, in hotels. So that means no money.
Yes.
Let's call the transporters. That means no money. Maybe the people the bankers, maybe banks are big enough or structured enough that they could still be paying their staff. But let's talk about the undocumented the people that feed off of the everyday income, how are they supposed to abide by that lockdown in place? I'm not arguing the lockdown because of the epidemic. There is supposed to be a lockdown, but how are they supposed to survive?
Mm-hmm.
So then the word on the street came that there were this food, but some politicians stopped it. How can you justify that? Yeah, maybe not everybody wants to stick their neck out, which I can understand. The role is not for everybody.
So now, let's fast track.
Okay.
Sell Nigeria.
This is home, nowhere like home. And all it's going to take is for us to get together. All it's going to take is for us to believe in the project. And if we believe in the Nigeria project, we define our Nigeria, not my Nigeria. Maybe my is not the word, because the word I want to use is my Nigeria, internalizing it for your own personal, not someone else's, your Nigeria. What is it you desire Nigeria to be? How do you create that? We need to resell this project, this entity. I genuinely believe that what else would they believe? There is nowhere else to go. This is home. It's just that home is not habitable.
Let me ask you this final question.
Yes, sir.
Is there hope for Nigeria?
Absolutely.
Show me.
We just need to try to get the right hands. And I'm sorry, even though it's your right question, I think people don't understand what the word change means. People got caught up with the change mantra, saying, we voted for change, we didn't get it. No. Change is a continuum. That we changed and didn't get it doesn't mean that we stop. If a female goes to a hair salon and gets a bad hairdresser, does she stop making her hair?
No.
She tries another hairdresser. Why is it that when we change a politician and they're bad, we give up? We change them. One of the reasons why I loved APC winning was that concept of change. It's not about the results. But if we can get the mindset that we can change people when they underperform, in the long term, it's going to be great for us. I believe in this country. It's not about anything else, but it's not a me thing. And I understand somebody that's not getting psyched up about the project. It's fine. That creates work. If it was easy, everybody would be doing it. It's not meant to be easy.
So you're saying they should believe in change?
We should believe in the word change, not who spoke it. We should believe that change means that we have to keep trying until we get it right.
And we do that every election?
Every election, we have to participate. We must participate. I do not think that the parties currently existing are ideology-based, but we can change it from the outside. You can only change it from the inside.
What we do not understand, we will stigmatize.
What you can see is the remaining of the tanker that exploded.
The suspect equally confessed.
A 500 naira they collect am.
If you no talk, dem go beat you.
Na 2,500 they pay.
Hey, what's up, guys? You're welcome to another edition of Plus Event, and I remain your host, Ifeoluwa Oshukeye.
Your absence isn't an excuse anymore, as Plus Event is all you need, as we bring you the glitz, the glamour, and loads of fun.
Oh, definitely. By no question. He's a living legend.
Oh, God forbid, Holy Ghost fire, I know.
I just want to be blown away. I want to be wild. This is 11 years of doing it.
I'm surrounded by so much positivity.
No, it's okay.
Yo, what's up, my people? It's your boy Starboy Terry.
You're watching Plus Event on Plus TV.
Stay glued to Plus TV Africa every Saturday and Sunday, 4:30 p.m. West African time.
Nigeria's Niger Delta region, from where the black gold fuels Africa's largest economy, where the lines between wealth and poverty has never been thinner. Conflicts, poverty, insecurity, and environmental challenges daily confront the region. How can the Niger Delta story be changed for the better?
Join Mamude Akuga at 9 p.m. every Friday evening on Plus TV Africa as he probes deep in search of solutions.
Inside the Niger Delta with Mamude Akuga, the authentic voice of Nigeria's oil-rich region.
You wanted to have a career in fashion. When I was taken to Portobello Road Market in London when I was about 10 or 12 years old, and there was all these colourful characters everywhere dressing up, and I saw very quickly the reaction and the way that they made me feel, and I wanted to have a part of that. I think there's a level of escapism within the fashion industry, and it's a chance to put feathers on and dress up and escape maybe from your day-to-day life. Yeah.
For photography and beauty, Linda asked if I would do her makeup for this photo shoot. So, of course, I was beyond thrilled, and I said that I would do it. I mean, after all, I've done her makeup over the years, kind of on the side, learning my craft along the way, and I'm going to be honest with you. There were a lot of